Superman, Son of Kal-El, issue 12. Tom Taylor writing, Cian Turmey on the art. And yeah, it's some interesting stuff here. Once again, Dick Grayson appears in this issue. A lot of nice cross pollination with Tom Taylor's books right now.
I've seen people complain about this, but for the story that he's telling in Nightwing about Dick being John's mentor, of course, him going to talk to Luthor makes sense. It's billionaire to billionaire, you know. So sometimes I feel like people just want to complain.
I would slightly correct you there and say that's not a story in Nightwing. That's a story in Superman, Son of Kal-El.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant to say. he's using Nightwing,
which makes it even more valid though, because it's this book's story that he's his mentor. Right. So yeah,
that's what I meant to say. But yeah, I've seen people complain about it. There's too much crossover, and I don't. It's not like this is impacting Nightwing at all.
No, you don't have to read Nightwing to understand what's going on here, and vice versa. So
yep.
So yeah, obviously John's frustrated because he wants to go after Bendix, but Batman's like, no, you need some proof first. You need to, do something. There's a sort of fun sequence at the start where something breaks the perimeter where the Kents are staying, and it turns out it's just Crypto. So it's a false alarm, and everyone's just happy to see him.
I love that Bruce is like, do you know how much defenses that dog just destroyed? I love that. And Crypto's just there trying to help out. So
yeah,
that was nice.
Yeah, but basically they agree that they have to use Lex for info because Lex has been working with Bendix. And the plan is like not to sneak someone in, but in actual fact, Lex wants to see Dick Grayson because Dick Grayson's been making big waves with his money. So Lex wants to see him. So Dick plants a bug in Lex's office, which is kind of the big plot beat. And they listen to what's going on for the rest of the day. And they only have a day because they know that Lex probably sweeps his office for bugs like every day. So we get the rest of today, and then we can wipe it, and off we go. So it really does sound like there's a lot of world leaders who are into this the Rising and wanting to take the world back from the superheroes. And
it goes in with what the story that Taylor started in Suicide Squad, about there's the people that are in charge are doing things. I'm trying to find the right word. In the shadows to keep their power, and then that with Lex kind of hints at Dick like, "Hey, you're doing a little bit too much good." People are going to start thinking that's what everybody should do. And there's kind of some real world echoes there. And I just like that through line that's going through these Tom Taylor books.
Yeah, so Lex and Bendix mention a senator, not by name, but obviously they do some digging, and John comes to see the senator with Jay there with his camera and poses some questions like, you arranged the transfer of these prisoners, and this is what it led to, kind of thing. It just puts him on the spot right there in front of everyone, and he gets very, confrontational about it, of course. He gets caught off guard. But of course, it turns out that this senator, just like the other superpowered beings, is got an implant or whatever and is controlled by Bendix. So it turns into a monster. Although it does look quite dark at first, though, because Crypto senses that he's about to change and blasts him with heat vision, and everyone's like, "What the hell? The dog just killed the senator!" But then he turns into this big Kraken style monster, and it's Bendix talking through him, and John's like, "Hey, I'm going to stop you, Bendix." Yada yada yada. And Bendix, he lets a lot of his sort of true colors come out here, where he's like, no one wants a half human, half alien to be our hero. Like, you're an abomination. So a lot of his prejudice starts to come out. Some of the themes of the book start to really come in.
Well, and I felt that was also not just, the stuff that's come out with John, right, is that he's bisexual. And a lot of the, not so nice takes about this. I felt that was Taylor also channeling that a little bit. We've always had that Lex is when it comes to Superman, he's resentful because he's an alien. But now, John, that kind of applies, but it also applies to, his own personal life. And I feel it makes Bendix that much more dastardly when you read it through that lens. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I mean, I don't even think Bendis knows or cares about that like detail, but from a meta level, it definitely represents it to us.
Right, that's what I mean, and that's how I read it. And it's just, Taylor's very transparent about the harsh stuff that gets sent in his way, and then he makes fun of it. So just knowing that that's there, seeing that, and him calling him an abomination, all this other stuff, it definitely felt like there was some meta things going on there.
Yeah. Jay uses his powers to go inside the Kraken and take out the chip that's like, helping Bendix control it. And he comes out and he's like, "See, look, I saved the day for once." And John's like, "Hey, Jay, your mask." And he's like, "Oh shit!" And that's the cliffhanger: is that Jay has unwittingly revealed himself, and there's tons of the public filming his face. So now they all know that he's the one behind the truth. So that's kind of where we leave off for next issue. Very quick, brisk read, to be honest.
Yeah.
Mostly enjoyable though. I mean, I like generally what it's doing, and the build to Bendix, and just making Bendix more of a dastardly villain is kind of nice, because it makes you hate him more,
Yeah, and to me, it also feels like he's worse than Lex, because like at the end of the day, Lex's issues to me always reside in jealousy of Superman and envy, whereas I feel like Bendix doesn't. He's not like that at all. He's just a power hungry, nasty, Gamoran, whatever. So I do like that they're giving John not just his own Lex, but someone worse than Lex. So it's nice. Tormey's art, I thought his crypto looks real good. But that monster that the Senator turns into, like, there's some great body horror stuff going on in there. I
mean, I'd say the tentacles just look sort of normal, big octopus style tentacles, but the face definitely gave me some I'd say some either Hellraiser or perhaps even like From Beyond style body horror.
Yeah, I was thinking of like Cronenberg's The Fly. Like,
a little bit of
like
Cronenberg.
when the thing gets turned inside out.
I think between all those examples, people can conjure an image if they haven't seen it.
But I thought like it went from like, oh, this looks nice, to, oh, that's icky. And that's kind of what you want when someone turns into a ghastly monster controlled by an evil president/CEO.
Yeah, I mean, I think seeing Tormey, I think, is a really solid artist, and not one that ever like I'm never wowed by the layouts or anything like that. They're always very very fine, but never like something I want to sit and like praise completely. But
it's very very journeyman art where it gets the job done, and there are points where it stands out. And I feel like monsters are really stick out in my mind with Tormey's art, because we had that big kaiju that came up in the last couple issues. Now you have the Tentacle Senator. And just, I wonder where this is going, like what other things Taylor can throw at him to draw. So,
how did you feel about the conversation between Dick and Lex about Alfred, and Lex talking about him?
I do like that, because it almost feels like Lex is trying to get Dick to trying to get him off his not his high horse, but just it's Lex kind of sticking it to him. It was like, yeah, I always know more than you do, more than you think I do. So, but I thought it was a nice little piece, and just continues to make Alfred, that much more special.
Yeah, that's always an interesting little thing. This idea of what Lex thinks about the fact that the butler, the servant of the Wayne family, turned out to actually be a billionaire by the end, but was still operating as Alfred. and it obviously doesn't know everything about it, but like just this idea that there's something very like humbling about just how Alfred chose not to change who he was based on all this money he seemingly accumulated throughout the years. It's an interesting little detail, and I think there's this idea that Lex almost doesn't know how to respond to this sort of genuine, like, just generosity, and
because he doesn't think like that. Lex is very focused on Lex, whereas Alfred, who has his life's been in service of others, right? Like,
yeah, but even when he's talking about Dick and he's talking about how you're doing all this for your money, and he's sort of praising him, but he's kind of doing it this faint way through his teeth kind of thing.
Yeah, it's all backhanded. It's
like I get the impression Lex thinks Dick's very very naive, That's the
Well, that's why I
vibe I
said
get
like at
in
the
that
beginning
scene.
where he's like, "You're doing all this stuff with your money. You're not gonna have the money very long." It's all those. It's kind of what we hear when people talk about money in the real world, right? Like, how come these people don't do more to help? Because then they won't have all their money, and that's how I feel about Lex. Lex will make 1 billion robots with his brand on it before he does anything of actual good. But whereas Dick's like, no, I'm gonna
Although,
spend it on the community.
for the record, I do believe that Lex, for the public perception that it gives him, I believe he probably spends a fortune in charities every month.
Yeah, but I feel like that's still only a drop in the bucket of what
Oh no, yeah, it'll be a drop in the bucket of what he actually has. But
Yeah.
I bet he spends thousands, if not tens of thousands
if he has
on
a
charity
chance
every
to
month.
put his name on a kid's hospital, he's doing it. Yeah.
Like I could see
100%.
him with the big check, handing it over in front of the cameras. Like he's doing that every month. I
That's
guarantee
not his
you.
focus, right? His focus is, I'm going to make more money for Lex Luthor, and if that means I'm putting out robots, to get blown up by Superman, then that's what I'm going to do. He'll spend his money. He'll spend way more on those robots than he will on the kids' hospital. So, but yeah, no, it's. I like the story that Taylor's telling through Dick and Lex and John, and it really makes John feel of the people, and Dick for a lesser extent too, even though he is a billionaire. He's using that money that he inherited, because again, it's not his money, right? It's the money that Alfred left him. So it's a little bit different, but it just shows the differences between the characters, and I like that.
Yeah, it's again a part of the mission statement of this book has been to separate, set up John and what sort of Superman he is and how he's different from his father, and I think it's still doing that up until now. So, what are you giving Superman Son of Kal issue 12?
I'm gonna give this one an 8.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 7.5. I like it quite a bit. The only reason why I'm kind of going a little lower is because it feels like one of those issues where just by inherently what it is and what it becomes by the end, it's kind of an in-between issue, so the pacing is a little, it's not this perfectly bow-tied issue, as opposed to there's kind of like clear parts to it, and the second half feels more about set up the next issue, the first half feels more about dealing with the last issue, and kind of I don't know.